just was too shabby chic. You know what I mean? I was printing my labels on my home computer. I mean, you've got to start somewhere. So that was my sort of barrier to entry. It's like, how am I going to get this off the ground? Do it yourself. So I did it myself, right? But in my mind, it was like, I'm a small fish and I've got to work my way up. It could take 10, 15, 20 years. What? I've got 20 years. I want to do this right now, right? So when I rebranded, I was like, right, my whole vision is I'm going to be the Black Estee Lauder. And I'm going to have about 10, 15 brands under me in the next 10, 15 years. So I was just stealing with pride, just looking at their website, looking at mine, looking at mine. And now my brand is so iconic, when you go on my website and you see it, you feel like you're on Estee Lauder Clinique. And they've been around for 50 years. So when my brand is getting pitted against these brands and women, because my formulations are brilliant, then I'm like, yeah. Because the way I've styled it and branded it, I didn't think like a small business. I was like, if I want to really be in this pond, I need to be a player. I need to look like a player. You know, apologies, I'm wearing Nike Airs today. I'm not wearing no heels, I ain't looking like a player today. But my website and my branding, you can't try it, man.
Hi, my name's Mia. I have a question for like those who are like around like 18 to 20 and considering going uni. And I saw that your course that you did was completely different to business, and I'm sure there's a lot of people around the ages of like 16 who have those ideas of being like, oh yeah, I could do business, I could boss on my own business and get everyone out on the street. So what advice would you have? Did you find like, was university useful? What is the ways of trying to use it, even if the course doesn't relate to like business and doing those sorts of things? And if not, what kind of things would you suggest to those who feel like they're in like a lost period, like they're not sure if they should go to university to do those things? Like what advice would you give?
Wonderful. Thank you. Like, when I was at uni, I think we were the first or second year who had just started with the loans. So we just missed the grants. And now you guys are in, like, I think it's 3 times the amount that I was probably paying. So that is a massive, again, barrier to entry, where you're like, oh my God, I'm going to start my adult life in debt. Like, what, why? You know what I mean? And then if I get that piece of paper, is there really a job at the end of it? Can I see my cousin or my brother and he's broke? You know what I mean? And you're thinking like, what is really going to happen for me? I did drama with film and TV. It was a joint honours, so it's like doing 2 degrees in one. One was behind the camera and the theory, one was in front performing as a presenter and actress. All of my friends laughed at me. Straight, they were like, you know what, Claire, what are you going to do with a drama degree? You know what I mean? There's no black actresses on telly, so what are you going to do? You're going to write your own plays or your own things? And I was like, yeah, and I tried, I did. Again, trying to be wrong and strong, doing it all by myself, and it didn't work. And at the end of it, my friends were doing economics and business. Joke thing is now, 5 years on, as in 5 years into my business, my business friends message me for business advice. I've never been to them for business advice. Because you know what? A lot of this is just doing it. You're gonna fail. You're gonna waste money. You're gonna waste time. You're gonna waste energy. You're going to cry. You're gonna get that big order and think, oh my God, now that it's here, how do I fulfill it? You know, I had an order from Glossybox for 30,000 products, and I spent 30 days doing that from the covers of my bed because I was unwell, by hand. So I know, if you put me to the test, I can make 1,000 products by hand a day. I called a friend to come and help me. She had a small business that she was doing like shea butter and body balms. And I said, yo, can you help me? She said, yeah. Do you know what? Someone put an order in to me for 50, and I tried to do it, and I got to 5, and I was like, oh, can't be bothered. I was like, babe, don't bring that energy to my house, you know. You need to make sure that you're on point. Like, it's Glossybox, like, it's global. I'm in the same box as Lady Gaga and Katy Perry and everyone. She did about 25 for me, and she started feeling sick. And she started like, oh my God, I was just sitting in my bathroom for 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, do you know what? She can't do it for herself. How could she ever do it for me? Right? So this is another lesson. It's about how are you gonna be a CEO or a boss at anywhere if you don't work hard at school now? If you don't work hard at your part-time job? Oh no, I'll get to it when it's mine. Of course I'm gonna put in the hours. You don't even know, because you need to learn. Use your working experience as your opportunity to try and fail on somebody else's dime, on somebody else's pay, when they're paying you to fail and muck around and learn and go training and all of that, because you're not going to get that in your own business. You need to be ready. Going back to your original question, so people were looking at me like, oh my God, how are you going to set up a skincare brand? My skin was horrible. That was my driving motivation. How am I going to be a successful makeup artist? I'm losing work because my skin doesn't look good. When they're like, Claire, your skills are sick, like I saw your portfolio, but when you turn up, you got eczema and acne and I don't know. And that was confronting for me. Any of you girls can feel the same way, like, wow, someone's really judging me on my skin, like that hurts. And when you've got acne, it don't matter how much makeup you put on, you still look unhygienic when you've got acne. You could be the freshest person in the world. Do you know what I'm saying? But this skin disorder that you're trying so hard to remedy, it starts to take over and you feel insecure and your self-esteem and it's just not on. So what I would say, sorry, and I keep going on a tangent, sorry, Nia, is that if you're on one path, don't be afraid to go to another path. You have to do what's right for you. When I picked my drama degree, I was like, if I'm going to study it for another 3 years, I need to enjoy it. I tried business studies for 7 weeks at college, and I walked out. I just found it to be dry. But actually doing it in real life, there's no better feeling in the world. So it swings and roundabouts. I would really just say, just go with your gut. It's that simple.
Thank you so much. So if you need to leave now, thank you so much. And can we start with you, Hope? So the question is what are the most important traits for being a successful leader within?
Well, when I was looking through the questions that you sent through to me and I was thinking about this, I feel like there's so many qualities that make a rounded, amazing female leader. But the number one thing that stands out to me is integrity. I feel like you have to have integrity in anything that you do. And by that I mean having a set of values and moral principles that you live by regardless, wherever you are, however high you get, however successful you are, you have to have that point that you go back to whatever you do, because I think it's so important. And I know you wanted like personal experiences and stories. So the first time that this quality really became apparent to me was when I was at university. So I was chairing the student union campaign for racial awareness and equality at Oxford. And that was a huge responsibility. So that was a huge responsibility, and it was like a really stressful year for me. And during that year, we actually compiled an amazing research report. It was called 100 Voices, and it was gathering the experiences of black students at the university. And it was kind of tense because we had to work with like really senior officials and kind of bring those issues that we were having as black students to people who loved Oxford, like these people who had studied there, went back there, like were teaching there as well. Like it was a huge thing. So I kind of became kind of the face for that alongside like my partner. And there was a time where a particularly like sensitive story broke in the media. And obviously, like if you get the name Oxford, it will hype it up even more. So like loads of like the different newspapers were covering it and whatnot. And basically, like a really senior official at the university phoned me that morning, and she's like, "Oh, we've had these really bad stories come out about us. Like, could you get any of your black students at the university or in your network to maybe post on like the Times or comments or anything to say that, to like basically refute the claims?" So I think the story was saying that Oxford doesn't take enough black students basically, and they were trying to say like we'll send you a little paragraph, you can get people just copy and paste it, that would be fantastic, and and if you do that, then we might be a little bit more receptive to what you want in terms of your campaign. So I had to sit there for a minute and think, well, you know, on the one hand, we really want this research report to go through. We want to have this race summit. We want to see amazing things for black students at the university. But at the same time, you have to have integrity and you have to represent the people that back you. You have to represent people that look like you, people that are you. And I feel like that's a responsibility. So I have to use my integrity and say, like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. And if that means that you can't go forth with like backing the research project, then firstly, you're not doing your job properly, so you shouldn't really be where you are. And secondly, I know that this needs to happen at this university and students will back it in the future. So even if it doesn't happen during my time as like chair, it will happen eventually. But I'm not going to sacrifice kind of my moral principles or anything, because I just feel like there's so much emphasis on like image and hype in terms of being a leader, especially in like the social media environment. Like it's very easy to like create an image for yourself that people look up to, but I feel like that isn't success. Like success is in substance, not an image. So even if like the research report didn't go through and it wasn't successful and people were blaming me, at least I could walk away with my head held high, knowing that I did the right thing. So I just feel like integrity at all times, and you can never, you're always successful if you have integrity, basically, always, because that comes from within. Success doesn't come from, you know, external views or opinions or what people still view. So I think integrity is a huge factor. The second thing in terms of being a successful leader for me is curiosity and hunger for knowledge, and that's not just when you're on the way up, that's when once you've made it to where you want to be as well. Like never stop wanting to perfect your craft, never stop wanting to speak to as many people as possible to see, you know, where you could be doing things better. So I think curiosity and hunger for knowledge comes with the skill or quality of adaptability, and also an element of humility as well. So understanding when you're not doing something as well as you could. I feel like university was also a really big time for me in terms of gaining the opportunity to be more humble in a sense, and to not see it, like not having to see my qualities or my strengths as just absolute. There are always areas where you can improve. And it's really interesting actually, because at the moment I'm working on a startup, a tech startup, and it's something that I had no idea about before, so it's like really exciting for me. And a couple of weeks ago I had not an interview, but like a meeting with a potential investor, which was really good. And I remember him just firing all of these questions at me, like, you know, how are you going to monetize this? How are you going to do this? Like, what's your year plan or whatever? And he kept saying stuff like, oh, you know, don't be offended, like, don't be offended, I hope you're not offended by what I'm saying, etc., etc. And I just had to stop him, and I was like, you can't actually offend me, like, this is a product that I really want to see be successful. Any criticism that you give me, I'll take it, I'll develop, I'll adapt it, and I'll come back to you with an amazing product. So you actually can't offend me, like, you actually can't. Either you've given me room to grow, or, like, I don't take it on, like, if I don't think that it's actually founded or based on something, like, solid. So, yeah, don't be offended, like, always be willing to grow, always be willing to just see where you can, yeah, learn as much as possible, really. And that doesn't have to be from books. I know that we've spoken a lot about, like, education and university, and like degrees linking into your careers and whatnot, but, you know, you don't have to grow just by, like, being in your books. Like, you can go to so many events. Like, last month I tried to go to a new, like, networking event every week, even if that's just through finding something on, like, Eventbrite or something. Like, and you always meet someone amazing, always take people's details, always see where you can have a conversation and learn something that you know you didn't know about before, something that you can, you know, something obscure that you can learn, that you can perhaps put into a different area of what you do. Just meet people and be open, basically. Always want to grow, always stay hungry. That's the biggest thing for me.
Okay. Hi everyone. It's so nice to see so many beautiful faces. And Victoria, thank you so much for having me, because honestly, when I heard that you were doing this, I was so honoured that you actually wanted me to be amongst such great people. So thank you so much. Before I even go into that, is it okay if I give like a mini introduction into myself? Okay, so because some people might be looking at me and thinking, who the hell is this girl? Like, who are you? So just let you know a little bit about me. My name is Nissy. I started out, started my story in East London. I've lived in East London my whole entire life, so shout out to anyone here from East London. Yeah, thank you. We're always in the building. Yes, I love it. Started my story in East London. I've been brought up there my entire life. I went to a state school in Stratford called Sarah Brunel Girls' School. Woo-hoo! Shout out to my girl over there, went to the same school. Went to a state school in Stratford, Sarah Bernal. Wasn't the best. Now it's improving, but it wasn't exactly the best of schools. But, you know, I didn't let anything get in my way. I was always determined to kind of do well. After that, I went on to sixth form, which was an okay, better sixth form in Essex, called Bill Sixth Form. After that, currently now, I'm studying at the University of Cambridge, studying English literature. Everything that I'm saying, by the way, is relevant. I have a reason as to why I'm saying it, so don't just think that I'm just saying it for the sake of saying it. Studying at the University of Cambridge, doing English, but alongside my academic career as well, I do a whole bunch of other things. So I do presenting, hosting, doing events, doing panels and talks, this kind of stuff. And I do YouTube as well, so I'm a YouTuber. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, guys. I had to plug myself there. And everything that I do essentially is about motivation and inspiration and helping people to see their full potential and to see that they are great no matter where they started from, just like you said, Victoria, which I think is something really, really important that I want every single one of you guys to take away from today. It does not matter what background you come from. It does not matter where you started. It does not matter what color you are. As long as you are determined to do well and to be successful, you will get to your destination. Yes, the journey might not be easy, it might be difficult, you might encounter a lot of setbacks and difficulties, but that's life. It's life. And I'm 20 years old, and in my 20 years of living, I've noticed that life comes with a whole load of hurdles and hardships and pain and suffering, so much of it. But regardless of all of that, we always have to look forward and to our end goal, which is why I love Claire as well. She was absolutely amazing. But yeah, so to kind of go on to the actual question that you asked, traits that make a successful leader, yeah? So the first trait that I would say that makes a successful leader is understanding. One thing that I think that everyone needs to remember is that you're working with human beings. And as I mentioned, in life, you get a lot of setbacks, you get a lot of things happening in other people's life. As Claire mentioned, you have no idea what is going on in someone's life. Someone could have lost someone yesterday, but is still coming up and turning up and smiling in your face and networking with you. Someone could have broken up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend last week, and yet is still showing up. So for me personally, I believe that, as Claire mentioned, we need to treat every single person that we meet with respect and dignity that they deserve as a human being, and ensure that as a leader, you make sure that people feel comfortable around you and that you understand their circumstances. Understand that just like you, they have thoughts, feelings, emotions, and that they are there looking up at you, hoping that you will show them something, offer them something that is more than maybe other people can offer to them. So that's definitely number one. I'll say understanding, being understanding to everyone that you come across, treating people with respect. The second thing that I would say is serving. I feel as though being a leader is about serving other people. Being a leader is about being outside of yourself. It's got nothing to do with you. Of course, you're the one that's being the leader, but you are there to serve other people. As I mentioned, people could be looking at you, people could be looking at you as motivation, as encouragement. People could be looking at you as that one bit of hope. They might be at their last straw and not know what else to do. They might be in depression or whatever it is. And they might be looking at you as that last piece of hope for them. So you need to remember that you are there to serve other people. Put people ahead of yourself. And as Claire kind of mentioned, she mentioned that she was a Christian, and so am I. And that's one thing that I've always learned within my course, with my personal relationship with God, is always been to serve others before yourself. And then what will happen is that you will see that people will want to serve you, because you have ensured that you have nurtured other people before yourself, that you have shown a selflessness that they would admire and that they would love, because you're doing it out of the kindness and the love of your heart. Then people will want to work with you. Then people will want to join in with whatever business or whatever plan you have. Then you will see that randomly out of nowhere, you're looking maybe for a venue. Someone will come and say, I've got a venue for you. Maybe you're looking for brands to sponsor you at your event, and they will come and say, do you know what, here, let me sponsor you. Because you have learned to serve first before anything else. So that'd be number two. And finally, kind of similar again to Claire, will be perseverance. Perseverance is so key to anything that you want to go on and do. It's key because, again, you will have setbacks, you will fail, you will find times where you are thinking, do I even want to do this anymore? honestly, I do so much. If you ask some of my friends, they're just like, Missy, like, how do you even have time to run around and do everything that you're doing? Perseverance. Because I love it, because I'm motivated to do it, I continue doing it. And no matter what setback comes in my way, no matter what difficulty is thrown at me, no matter what has happened in my personal life, I will keep going. I will focus on that end goal, and I will let nothing get in the way of me. And that's exactly what I'll say to you today. Persevere through everything. You are born and you are here for a reason. The fact that you are not dead means that you still have a purpose to fulfill. That is it. So make sure you understand your purpose and you push through in order to reach that purpose. So yeah, those are the three. So understanding, serving, and perseverance. Thank you.
Yes, last but not least. Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia Yoon. I'm currently working as a management consultant at KPMG. I'm gonna kind of introduce myself, my story through one of the strengths that I think is really key to being a successful leader, which I think resonates throughout the panel today, which is perseverance, having that grit. So I was born in Korea and then I moved to the States when I was 11 or so, and I moved to an area where there weren't that many Asian people. They're just full of white people, and we were just this kind of interesting creature. And people just kept looking at us. This one person even stopped me and was like, are you an Asian? I was like, yes sir, I'm an Asian, Korean American to be more specific. And he's like, oh, all right, thanks. I don't know why people always need to kind of like validate their thoughts on who I am, and if who I am does not meet their expectations, and they just kind of get angry at me. They're like, no, I think you're Chinese. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm Korean American. They're like, no, are you sure? I'm like, yes, I'm pretty damn sure. And then seeing your parents not being able to speak English, they're new to the country, they can't really help you out, and you gotta be there to take care of your parents yourself, right, at age 11. And seeing them being yelled at, being looked down at by other people, that just like really frustrates you and makes you really angry. But what's important is that turning that anger into something positive, that energy to do something about it, to fight for awareness, racial equality, and so on. So I did a lot of work around that during high school and so on. And also after high school though, I mean, sometimes reality hits, right? Okay, I've done really well in school, but how am I gonna have money to go to college? You know, scholarship is pretty hard to get. How am I gonna go to college? So I actually thought about, you know what, whatever, I'll just work somewhere and support my parents. That's more important to me than, you know, me going off to college. Like Claire said, like, you know, sometimes you don't know if you are gonna really get a job after that. Is this really gonna be worth it? It's 4 years of education and lots of student debt. Is it really worth it? You know? But I don't know, sometimes like God works in mysterious ways, and I got scholarship from the Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, to go to college. And that required me to search through so many different scholarships. I think I applied to like over 1,000 different ones. I mean, I didn't hear back from most of them, but one I heard back. And one that made such an integral impact in my life, because it was for students of color coming from low socioeconomic status whose parents have not gone to college before. And that community was so powerful for me. That scholarship didn't come with just the money for me to go to college and learn, but it connected me with so many other people who were like me. And that really inspired me and kept me going. And so my aspiration was to continue to work in that space, work for gender equality, and especially race, gender, socioeconomic poverty alleviation, and so on. And I went to Vietnam for 10 months to do a research on marriage migration of Vietnamese women to South Korea. And I went in there with this naive thought that I'm gonna change the world. I'm gonna bring this nationwide women's equality movement, poverty alleviation, and so on, and I failed miserably. I got hit by a car. I couldn't get any justice though, because it was driven by a rich Vietnamese boys in their Porsche Cayenne, and they were hitting everybody in the street. But the government cannot do anything about it because they're so damn rich and powerful. Couldn't get any justice. I almost got abducted, I got scammed, I got sexually assaulted, and so on. It was a really difficult moment, and also a moment for me to actually recognize that, damn, I'm so lucky because I can just leave this country. And all this experience is actually, even though it was so hard, that actually enabled me to be able to empathize with other sexual assault survivors, right? So I then worked with the State Department to institute a system of support and education for the embassy and so on to protect and support sexual assault victims. Because the Vietnamese embassy folks that we reached out to, because some of us did have various sexual assault experiences, and they're like, well, were you wearing long sleeves, and what were you doing? Were you walking late night by yourself? I'm like, are you serious? And you work for this embassy? How much cultural awareness and sensitivity do you have? Do you have any kind of education, understanding, empathy for what we're going through right now? Right, so, but anyway, that was difficult but also rewarding experience to connect with other people, and now many people who go through this Fulbright scholarship will have the system of support for them from the embassy. And then from that on, I also created an online campaign, a Korea chapter for Halabek. I don't know if you guys heard of Halabek. It's like anti-street harassment movement. It's global chapters, but there's one in London as well. So after that happened, I think my life is like full of interesting perseverance and so on and stories. And working now at KPMG also comes with quite a few challenges. I mean, so one client asked me, she was like, "What's that little Asian girl doing here?" And I was like, I have skills and knowledge, and that's why I'm here. And then even some of my colleagues who say, because in their mind, leaders and people who are capable are not me, right? So this one colleague of mine, this kind of ties into my next point on what it means to be a successful leader, which is to be an adaptive and inclusive leader. And this colleague was telling me Cynthia, that woman right there, she's Black British, and that's the only reason why she's a senior manager. You can replace her. And that really upset me, because I am not going to be there because I'm this face of diversity. So this is what my colleague has called this other senior manager. I'm going to get there because of my own skills and my own abilities. And that's something that we need to keep thinking, right? And so I actually, after 2 years at KPMG, started my own team in capability. But in the beginning, nobody thought I was going to be able to do that. But you just gotta keep going, keep proving people wrong. It sucks that you have to prove people wrong, right? Why can't they just trust you and support you to begin with, right? Yeah. But that's what we have to do, especially as BAME women. Kind of going off on tangent, but in KPMG we also have KPMG Network of Women, which is fantastic. But I had conversation with BAME women, and we talked about how different the conversations around white feminism is compared to BAME feminism. How, if you think about voting rights and all that kind of stuff, people say, oh, gender equality, women's right, women can vote. What women were able to vote? White women. Was it Black women? No. Was it Asian women? No. Right? And that story kind of continues to happen. If you look at the studies done on how D&I, diversity and inclusion policies, has helped women, it shows clearly that white women were the biggest benefactors of this. Black and Asian women, BAME women still have struggles, because it's not just gender we're faced with, right? It's the intersectionality of our identity of being Black, Asian, and also women. But that's also why I think we need to push for our leaders to be adaptive leaders. And fortunately, I think that kind of conversation is happening more. Leaders who are not just white male and this stereotypical image of a leader, but somebody who is sensitive, somebody who understands and can really cater to the diversity of your team. If you guys want to read more about it, there's this adaptive leadership framework developed by Ronald Heifetz. He's from Harvard. So if you just put in the adaptive leadership framework Harvard, then you will be able to look at that. Yeah. So I think that's really key. And yeah, we have a lot of responsibility, I think, to change the narrative of what it means to be a leader. Another thing, I think Hope has already mentioned this, is about being intellectually curious, and I think that's what's really inspiring. the enthusiasm and energy that you have, but it's not about just being extroverted and speaking really loudly, but it's about the hard work, the energy for hard work, the energy for perseverance, the energy for constant intellectual curiosity and learning, and that's really important, I think. Just one more thing, if you are interested in there was a fantastic book. I haven't read it yet, but I only read a review or summary of it, and people say it's great, so I'm gonna say it's maybe great. So there's a book called Grit, G-R-I-T, The Power and Passion of Perseverance, and it's written by Angela Duckworth. So that's been talked about a lot recently, and that talks about how successful people and leaders, at the core of what they do is, what they have is the grit, the perseverance aspect. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll end it there.
On to our next question. Our doctor is now here, so we'd like to make your way to the panel. Okay, the next question for you guys is, how do you remain motivating and inspired despite obstacles and setbacks?
Oh, it's routine. Hello everyone, my name's Dami, or Dr. Oidele, but Dami's fine. Sorry I'm late, I've literally just come from work, but I was like, I was going to be here for 6:30, so that was my aim, so nice to meet you all. I've basically prepared some questions that...
Do you want to introduce yourself, your story a little bit?
Okay, that sounds good. Literally just get in, so... I'll tell you this about myself. So I'm a medical doctor by training. I don't know how many people want to do medicine or leaning towards that field. Anyone? Got a few. Okay, all right. So my background obviously is I'm Nigerian. I came over to the UK when I was about 15. Did my A-levels, went to university, and obviously went to med school. Qualified and started, and I've been working for about 3 years now. I'm also married, and I've got a little girl. And then also, just because I'm a little bit crazy, decided to start my own work as well. So I also run a company called Sorted Health, which sort of is an innovative first aid company, but I'll come to that a little bit later on. But that's sort of my story, my background. And I just hope from today I can kind of share what my experiences have been. I try and do a lot of stuff sort of within the NHS and outside the NHS, and this is when Victoria talked about this, I thought it would be a fantastic opportunity for me to come and share and talk to people as well. If you have any questions, do feel free to jump in and ask in case I forget anything important. So what was the question?
So the question was, how do you remain motivated and inspired despite obstacles and setbacks? I know, but just a quick pause. Daniel didn't get his question so far. If you want to just,
That's fine. Okay, so I think I like to talk from my personal experience about what my story has been. So it's authentic. It's not what sort of I've heard or what I've read from the book. For those who want to do medicine, you know it's an extremely competitive field. Get to anything you want to do in life. You want to go to university, you want to get a good job, lots and lots of competition. And you have to give yourself the extra edge. You have to stand out. You have to be that excellent candidate. You have to be that unique candidate. That when they look at your CV or they read about you, they want to meet you. And I applied, and I'd maybe had a smooth sailing journey. Went to high school, got the grades I needed, but to my horror and my shock, I didn't get an offer. I was like, seriously? How is that possible? And I think that was the first sort of setback, or first sort of heavy knocking I had taken. But looking back, I'm so grateful for that period because I clearly wasn't prepared. I thought I was ready, but obviously the examiners, the interviewers, the people who were sort of talking to you could see that I wasn't ready for it. For me, I had to go back and ask myself, okay, do I really want to do medicine? Am I doing it because I think, okay, I've got the grades, or because everyone, my mom, my dad wants me to do it, or am I doing it because I want to help people? And it was that focus that kept me through. So thinking, okay, actually, the statistics are people applying, don't get in. The statistics for sort of ethnic minorities is even slightly worse, and you don't see many sort of doctors from ethnic minorities, but that's changing. That is changing, and people are getting better, more people are getting to universities and going to med school. But it was kind of remembering, first of all, why am I applying to med school? Why am I here? Why do I want to do this? Is this for me? It was about preparing myself. It was about going back and looking at, okay, what am I missing? What do they want that I don't have? So during that period, when I didn't get the offer, I went back. I did lots of research. So I went to America to do presentations. I set up fundraising groups. I did lots of research. I did all the extra things that would make me a standout candidate, and that's the difference. So that when people meet you, once they read about you, they're intrigued. And I think now, even by coming to this conference, shows that you're different. Shows that you've got that one extra step. You want to learn. You want to lead. You want to be excellent in your field. And it's by looking for opportunities. So for me, it was kind of they were looking for somebody who's going to organise sort of a kidney research, because in Nigeria, lots of people have sort of kidney disease, for example, and we're looking for someone to spearhead that project. And I put myself forward and said, actually, I want to do that. I think I can do it. I was quite young actually, but that didn't stop me. I used that setback. I used that sort of disappointment to my advantage. Took some time out, looked at what they wanted, and I reapplied, and I was flooded with offers the following year. But that's what it takes. It's about using those setbacks, using those sort of shortcomings to make yourself better. You need to surround yourself obviously with family. Some people it's faith, some people it's friends, some people it's family. But you need something apart from yourself. People who are can-do, people who are positive, people who have passion. And I think obviously you probably have friends, you have people here who are like you. So you've had a knockback, it's fine. Pick yourself, dust yourself up, and you try again. And I think, apart from the passion that drives you, you need to surround yourselves with good people who are positive, people who are motivated. If you have a good core of networks of achievers around you, it's that sort of friendly competition. It's that sort of pushing yourself to do better, speaking about the challenges that you face. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have a little bit of a down moment, but it's not okay to stay down. You have to stand up, you have to get up, and you have to try again. And eventually you will succeed. It's about trying again, and you will get there. Okay?
So, you want to read the question, please?
Okay, so the question is, how do you remain motivated and inspired despite obstacles or setbacks?
Okay. Actually, I have a very similar university experience to you. I remember when I was applying, doing my UCAS applications, applying to do English actually, and I wasn't sure where to apply. I didn't really have much confidence at that time, so I wasn't really sure. I was getting my list together. I had some really good universities on the list, and I remember going to my university careers advisor and giving him the list, and him being like, "Oh, I don't think you're gonna make it. I wouldn't bother if I was you," kind of thing. And I was like, okay. That's good then. I really like when people tell me those kind of things. It's actually fun for me. For you to tell me that I can't do something, because when I come back to you later, then we'll obviously have a conversation. And we did have a conversation. When I came back after my first year of uni, I always knew you were gonna make it. I always knew you were gonna make it. And that really showed me that you can't listen to what people say, because for him that was an offhand comment. He probably didn't remember he said that. But for me, that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me now.